So before I start this video, guys, I have a quick request for you. I want to get back into making YouTube videos regularly, but I'm not really sure what kind of content you guys want to see. So I would highly appreciate it if you could tell me, in the comment section down below what you actually want to see. I also have a Twitch stream, so if you want to see me play some League of Legends outside of YouTube, that would be honestly your best bet. Hello everybody. Alright, preseason is finally out, so let's go right into the video. What do you guys take as runes? So there's 3 different builds I'm going to go over. There's going to be Crit build, there's going to be AP build, and there's going to be a Lethality build. So for Crit build, let's start off. The Crit build is the very basic Shaco rune page, I would say, that you take nowadays. You take Hail of Blades, you take Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Relentless Hunter, and then Inspiration, so you can get your early Tiamat with Futures Market and Approach Velocity. Approach Velocity feels really nice. I would highly recommend taking it. You can also take Cosmic Insight if you prefer that, but I would say Approach Velocity just feels way too good. Now, for AP Shaco jungle, you want to take Dark Harvest, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Ultimate Hunter. Ultimate Hunter is really nice for some early game ultimate cooldown reduction. You're going to have like 40 seconds on your ult, especially with the new Air Dragons. You're going to have like 20 seconds on your ult very late game. It is just a lot of fun. And secondary, I would recommend going Transcendence and Gathering Storm. You can go Absolute Focus, but I would recommend Transcendence more, especially with the build I'm running. It just makes a lot more sense. You can go attack speed down here. You can also go AP. That's up to you. I prefer having a little bit more attack speed over the extra AP, but again, that is totally your decision. Now, this is where it gets interesting. There's a Korean Shaco, known as Black Shaco, that likes to run Lethality at the moment. I'm personally not too big of a fan, just because I haven't tested it too much and haven't found the perfect build for me yet. But what he, in terms of runes goes, is he goes Dark Harvest, he goes Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Relentless Hunter, the basic, domination page, but instead Dark Harvest. And now for secondary, he doesn't go Inspiration. That is because he doesn't build Tiamat, so he doesn't need Futures Market. And he goes Alacrity, pretty basic, and Coup de Grace, also very basic. And then attack speed, AP, or AD, and yeah, some health. I would say, let's get right into the builds. Okay, so the builds. Starting off with the Crit build. But before I start, actually, I'm not going to go in depth of why why I built these items. So if you do want to know why I built certain items or why I don't build certain items, comment section down below, please. So, okay, starting off, Warning Totem, Hunter's Talisman is core now, pretty much. And then Rejuvenation Bead, so you can get that early Tiamat with Futures Market. Then your first back, try to aim for a Tiamat. If you can't, double longsword and boots, or double longsword, or just any kind of variation of those works out too. And then the Oracle Lens for the early game pressure. Now Sending Blade is really broken because it kind of works the same way Hail of Blades does, or interacts the same way Hail of Blades does with your clone. So really good pickup, really strong, good sustain, and the attack speed just feels really clean. Now Berserker Greaves, obviously, it's been a choice for Shaco for a long time now. And then afterwards, this is where it gets interesting a little bit. You can build either Essence Reaver or Infinity Edge. It is really up to you. I prefer going Essence Reaver first because 20% cooldown reduction is just so valuable that I think losing out on 10 AD and 25% bonus damage on crits is definitely worth it. Now, if you want to go for that extra damage on your crits, then build Infinity Edge first, but I prefer it the other way around. Now, after you build Essence Reaver, go for Infinity Edge, and if you go for Infinity Edge first, go Essence Reaver. And after that, I would recommend going Phantom Dancer. Unless the enemy team has a lot of armor, then you should probably go for Lord Dominic's Regard. And if their tanks also have a lot of healing, then you definitely want to go Mortal Reminder. But otherwise, I would highly recommend just going Phantom Dancer first. And then to finish off your Titanic Hydra, your Tiamat, you want to go for Titanic Hydra because of the auto attack that you get with it, the extra auto attack and the animation cancel. Now, very late game, you can sell your boots for 24s if you have the gold for it. This obviously makes you really strong, and never forget to buy potions. So AP Shaco is, in my opinion, the most fun to play, but also the hardest to play. But in terms of build, Talisman, as I said, standard now, then refillable potion because you don't need the Tiamat, and then a Warning Totem. First back, try to aim for the Stalker Blade or the Blue Smite, and if you can, a Dark Seal is always nice, especially if you're going to be snowballing early. You can build into a, into a Magi's, And if you can't, just get boots, or just only the Stalker's Blade, that's fine. Now, you also want to get the Oracle Lens again, because early game pressure is really nice. Your rush item is going to be the Runic Echoes. This item is completely broken. I don't know why it's still this broken, but I don't know, I guess it's fine. In terms of boots, I would recommend going Ionian boots, because of the Transcendence we have in our runes. You also can go Sorcerer Shoes, especially if you are the only AP in your team. This makes you really, really strong because you're not going to build any magic resist, so you're basically dealing true damage. But I would recommend going, most of the time at least, the Ionian boots. Now, this is where most AP players, disagree with each other. I prefer going Nash's Tooth because of the attack speed, the 20% cool reduction, which again in combination with Transcendence is really, really broken. You get, as I said, 50% attack speed, 80 ability power, and you also get bonus damage on your auto attacks that scales with AP. This item is completely overloaded, and in combination with Transcendence, really, really broken. This item he also gets because of its high burst damage. It also gives you nice health, cool reduction, good wave clear, a bit of AP power, ability power. This is just a really, really nice item, and it has been for AP Shaco for pretty much ever since it's come out. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is where you kind of have to make your own decision. It's really hard to go over every item. I would recommend usually, if the enemy team doesn't have any magic resist whatsoever, going Morellos. This allows you to deal true damage. If the enemy team has a lot of high HP targets, I would go Haunting Guys, Zonias against a lot of Assassins or just high AD enemy comps in general, Rabadons if you're snowballing, Banshee's Veil to block, skill shots, and if the enemy team has a lot of AP. Lich Bane is what Extreme Person likes to build. I don't really use it, but again it gives 10% cool reduction and nice burst. This, if the enemy team has a lot of magic resist and you just need to shred all of it. This is just kind of cool because it allows you to go in and then press it, and then your clone gets the extra AP, and it's really, really fun. And obviously this if you're snowballing really hard. Okay, so the Lethality build, the Korean Lethality build from Black Shaco. Now he starts off with Hunter's Talisman and then Refillable Potion. Again, no Tiamat, so you don't really need the Rejuvenation Bead. And obviously a Warding Totem. First back, again, same with the AP build, go for Stalker's Blade. And if you can, get some long swords or some boots, it's up to you. But always get the Oracle Lens, that's really important. Now, your first core item is going to be the Warrior Enchantment. And this is where it gets interesting because Black Shaco decides or chooses between 4 different boot choices. In my opinion, what I would do is I would always prefer the Berserker Greaves over any other. Then I would say Mobility Boots if you want to snowball really heavily and you want to power gank in the early game. Then Mobility Boots are really, really strong, especially if you catch up with them in Invis. Then you can slow them with the Warrior. Really, really strong. If the enemy team, or if you do want to build the Resistance Boots, then I would recommend going Mercury Treads into high AP comps or into a lot of CC, because it gives you tenacity. And if the team has a lot of AD or Assassins, then just go the Tabis. But I would recommend either going Berserker Greaves or Moby Boots. Now, this is interesting as well. He rushes Ghostblade first. That makes me think that he's a very, very early game dependent player that likes to get his team ahead early, which in Korea is what you want to do basically, because most people have FF15. But Ghostblade is just really strong. You have pretty much the same lethality as in Duskblade, you only lose like 3. You have 55 AD and you have 10% reduction and the movement speed. It is just really, really good to snowball early game. Afterwards you go Duskblade, because item's just broken. The honor damage, you kind of... Actually, it's not as broken anymore because you don't have the Blackout passive. But, yeah, let's get into that in just a second. So, the situational items afterwards. This is interesting because it depends on enemy team. If they build a lot of armor, again, Last Whisper into either Lord Dominic's Regard, or if they have a lot of healing, Mortal Reminder. And then you can pretty much choose from whatever lethality item you want to. Actually, let's get into Guardian Angel before, because if they have a lot of AD and or Assassins and you want to survive or, revive after dying, if that's something that you want to go for, this is really nice. I don't like building Guardian Angel too much anymore. I don't think it's worth it, but he does it, so there must be a reason for it. Now, Umbral Glaive is in my opinion really strong because you get 50-80, 10% cooldown reduction, you get the Blackout passive, that was the old Duskblade passive, which is basically like red trinkets. It disables wards and you can clear them in one hit. This item is just really strong, but not strong enough to rush it because it's really just not worth going over Duskblade and Ghostblade. Ascension Blade is also really good. The problem is it's kind of expensive, and you don't really need the attack speed later on anymore. You can go this if you want to split push, but the lifesteal is kind of wasted in my opinion because you're an assassin late game. You don't really need it, and you only get 50-80 from it. So the attack speed is nice, but late game you're not going to have the attack speed most of the time anyways, unless you're going for split push, because in a team fight there's going to be more than one person. So not really worth it in my opinion most of the time. Instead I would go Edge of Night. The shield is pretty cool. It's basically like Banshees now instead of having to activate it, so this is really nice. But yeah, I would honestly recommend testing these items, seeing what you like. I would probably go for Ghostblade and Duskblade into either Edge of Night or this one, the Umbral Glaive I think it's called, and then yeah, just see where you go from there. So the skill order for both Crit and Lethality is first maxing E, then maxing Q, then maxing W, and ult whenever possible. And for AP you want to max E, then W, then Q, and obviously ult whenever possible. Okay, they're clear. Now, in my opinion, starting blue side on Shaco nowadays is pretty bad. You lose a lot of HP and it's just not really worth it. I would always recommend starting red side now. So the placement is in the video, you can see that. It does require somewhat precise placement again on the chicken camp and the red camp for at least maximum efficiency. Now sometimes the chickens do survive with 1 HP after your boxes, you just need to auto-attack them once, but it doesn't happen too often, only like 1 out of 10 times. You queue over to the red buff, you place the box so that it fears it into the second box, you queue over to the Krug camp, you smite the big Krug, and then you make it so that the mini Krugs die with the box AoE and the talisman AoE. You queue over to the small wolf, hit it once with a backstab, and then you backstab the second wolf and E it, and then you just auto-attack the big wolf all the time. Then over to the blue buff, and then you do Skull Crab. Now the same thing applies to this side, the placement is just a little bit different. You can always block the entrance with a box. Make sure you place it before 34 seconds though, otherwise your box won't be up in time. Again, you see the placement in the video. Just practice that in a custom game or two to get it down. This is how it's supposed to look like if the box bounces correctly. Then one box on red buff obviously. Again, I actually showcased this time how it looks like if the small chickens survive. It's not a big problem as you can see, it just costs a couple of seconds. But it does happen sometimes. Then over to the Krug camp, you smite the big Krug, place the box down so it clears the mini Krugs, because you actually need to clear them so otherwise you don't hit level 3. Then you queue over to the small wolf, to the first small wolf, you backstab it once, then you hit the second small wolf with a backstab and an E, and then just hit the big one. Then you do blue buff, and then Skull Crab. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please leave a like, and if you want to see my future videos, consider subscribing. If you have any kind of questions or video ideas, leave a comment down below. Thank you.